Today, Grade.com talks with Cassandra Bird, who is the division manager for LCIF Grants Program. If you've not heard of them, they are an organization that empowers volunteers to serve their communities, meet humanitarian needs, encourage peace, and promote international understanding through the Lions Club. If you're new here to the podcast, please press subscribe on YouTube or in your podcast app, because today we are going to learn more about the power of community, partnership, and more importantly, the power of action. Ms. Cassandra, thank you very much for being here, and welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to share more information about Lions Clubs International Foundation, as well as Lions Clubs International Association.
Of course. I think it makes sense to start at the very top for someone that has not had the chance to kind of jump into the rabbit hole like I have and do a little bit of research. Can you tell us a bit about the programs, what you have going on, what you stand for, all that good stuff?
Exactly. So we should probably start with the association. So Lions Clubs International is actually the world's largest service organization with 1.4 million Lions Club members in about 200 countries and regions around the world. And we have about 47,000 Lions Clubs that are in just about every community that you can find. So with that, Lions Clubs International Foundation is the grant-making arm of the association. So we are responsible for the funding that goes to our Lions Club chapters to implement programs in the communities where they live and they serve. So that's one of the greatest things about the Lions, is that they empower activities that are taking place in their own communities. So that's Lions and LCIF in a nutshell.
Beautiful. Thank you for the overview. Huge footprint. I mean, like you said, 1.4 million Lions around the world, a global footprint. I'm curious, who are you partnering with today? I mean, these Lions, are they millennials? Are they children? Are they men? Are they women? Are they of a specific region? Or, I mean, help me understand who's joining the program.
Yeah, so it's a variety of our volunteers in terms of membership. We have, of course, there are older members who have been Lions for 40, 50, 60 years, believe it or not. And then you have Lions who are just starting out, middle age, as well as we have younger volunteers who we refer to as Leos, who are teenage years to young adults. They are volunteers as well. So it runs the entire gamut. They come from every footprint in society. There are Lion members who are associated with governments and heads of state in different countries. So their presence and their longevity in their communities enable them to partner with a host of organizations, whether they are beneficiaries of the service or providing funding towards a local service. So our partners, at the Lions level, could be local schools, it could be churches, it could be governments, it could be organizations that serve the disabled or some other vulnerable population, or at the foundation level, it could be organizations as large as Special Olympics, which is a 20-year partner of ours right now. So it runs the gamut of the small organizations as well as those partners who have larger footprints, who are well known, and who are local as well as global.
That's awesome. You mentioned Leos, which was one of the first things that I found on the website that kind of got me like, oh, this is interesting. This is exciting, of getting them started young, right, and showing the impact, the movement, that the emotional movement that you can feel when you volunteer and that you get involved, right? Like I love that. And so as I sort of deep dove into the Leos category, I found that you give them the opportunity to work with the older Lions, or maybe there's some collaboration. Can you maybe double click on the Leos program, what that means, and then maybe a bit about the collaboration, how they're working with the Lions to have an impact?
Oh, of course. So with our Leos, they're our younger age group. And there could be teenage years up into, I believe, around age 31 or so. So it's always best to capture their attention when they're young to get them engaged in volunteering. But because of the way our structure is set up, Lions clubs sponsor Leo clubs. There's the continuity there for the connection for them to work together. So if Lions are hosting a blood drive, the Leos are there representing and supporting in that particular way. So they have the opportunity to work together, and hopefully that will transition them from being Leos into joining an actual Lions club to actually become Lions members.
Yeah.
At least that's what we hope.
And not only are you training, I think that the plan makes a ton of sense. And I think not only are you training the youth, but in an interesting way, you're probably training the older generation as well, right? Like having the youth bring in innovation and new ideas. I think
critical.
Yeah, I think that they have these new wave thoughts and ideas and approaches to problems, and they can bring that. And like you said, the folks that have been involved for 30, 40, 50, 60 years, they have proven track records and successful approaches to problems to where you can kind of see both sides.
Sure.
When I was in college, I worked with one of these small cities in Kansas outsourced their rebranding of a city and said, listen, we're going to look at hiring a third party, a marketing agency, but we're going to just have an open RFP and anybody that wants to respond can respond.
Okay.
And my marketing department for the college decided, let's get a group of people together, 7 or 8 people. Each of us took a role and we put in an RFP response to the city, and they gave us the grant. They allowed us to make the city changes. We changed their logo and their slogan and their colors and things like that. And their reasoning was, we love the idea of getting youth in here, having them bring a new wave of thoughts and ideas to the city. We're targeting the youth. And so it's a long-winded way of, I love the idea of taking the older folks that have the proven track records and the success and the things that have been validated, and pairing them with someone that has lots of ideas and innovation and things that haven't been validated but should probably be tried. I love the merger.
Yeah, the innovation is really the key here, and different perspectives. So you have the members who are more seasoned and older who have done things a certain way, and that way works. But when you invite the younger generation, who, by the way, are the future generation, you open it up more to seeing things from their perspective. There's always more than one approach when it comes to tackling a issue or solving a problem or an approach to an activity and so forth. So it's a nice mesh of the new and innovative with the older, seasoned Lions, just to bring about a change. That's always an opportunity when you bring those two groups together. Hopefully both are receptive to open discussions about how to do things and open discussions about how to approach them. Plus, it makes a nice mix of those two or 3 different generations that you could have involved.
Definitely. Yeah. Talk to me about, we've talked a little bit about who's involved.
Okay.
Talk to me about the action, the problem that you're solving, or the challenges that are out there. Really what I'd like to maybe cover is the core pillars of the business. Okay. I saw 5 of them on the website. I think I have a twofold question here of what are those pillars? And then can you talk to me a bit about how you're supporting them, whether that's directly, maybe you have an example, something that the club has done recently or in the past of just something that stood out to you, a way that you supported one of those pillars. I'd like to get a story or 2 out of you.
Okay. So in terms of the pillars, we refer to them as the global causes. And these are the larger, broader activities that are funded by the foundation, so that our Lions clubs, chapters, districts, and so forth can apply to LCIF for funding. So there is Vision, which is, of course, the Flagstaff project for Lions. Lions are often most known for providing eyeglasses, collecting eyeglasses, providing vision screenings. So with that, funding is provided for everything from eyeglass recycling to medical equipment to perform vision surgeries, to build eye banks, eye institutes, in some cases historically to support the construction of eye hospitals. So our history is very, very rich in that. Another global cause would be diabetes, which is a new one for us. There's the whole element of prevention and education, especially there are lots of activities that are needed for people who don't know they have diabetes and those who are just recently diagnosed. So there have been diabetes screenings, of course. There have been camps and symposiums for individuals who have diabetes. There's been human resource capacity building, training individuals to be diabetes coordinators. Then there's infrastructure and equipment for current diabetes wellness centers or facilities that basically support awareness and education and treatment and services. So then we have hunger, which is another new one, and that's more about improving the access that individuals have to food and addressing food insecurities. So funding has gone to Lions to establish food banks, whether it's for equipment or construction of food banks. There could be a need for commercial freezers, commercial refrigerators, transport trucks, refrigerated trucks. So our Lions are very active in those type of projects with, food banks and feeding centers, Meals on Wheels type programs. So that's another funding opportunity. There is childhood cancer, which is another newer clause that we are working with to address the familial needs that families go through in terms of having a child who has cancer and improving their success rate while they're being treated. And last, there's environment. And so that is one of the programs now that we're working to develop, since, with environment, it can go a lot of different ways. It's everything from tree planting to climate control to clean water. So with that one's yet to be developed. But what you may not know is that outside of those 5 pillars, the foundation also has additional causes that are available to Lions in terms of the projects. Disaster is a big proponent for LCIF. We address more than 150 individual disasters every year with funding. So there's immediate relief. There is disaster preparedness. There is midterm activities like debris removal, as well as long-term reconstruction. And those are your Hurricane Katrina type projects where Lions provide funding, but they're there throughout a number of years to reconstruct vital public facilities. And then we have a category which we classify as humanitarian. And those are all those other projects that could be improving access to education, improving access to medical care. The youth component there is part of addressing those same needs for youth, as well as our Lions Quest program, which addresses social emotional learning for youth. And youth, of course, can be woven into any of those categories that I just spoke about. And so the one thing about our organization, we have a varied opportunity of projects for our Lions. And each of these causes, there are problems related to these in every community. And that's the goal, to address the community needs as much as possible.
A huge cause. I love hearing, just the you use the term richness earlier, and I cannot think of a better word. The richness of your history, of the impact that the 1.4 plus million members can have, across the globe. In just some of the pieces that you rattled off there, I didn't realize, maybe I did, but it's great to hear it, of you're involved in every piece of each of these pillars, each of these global causes, improving access, educating the people, supply chain pieces. You're in the production line, you're boots on ground, you're giving hours. I mean, in every single aspect of this global cause of hunger, of vision, you're providing facilities, supplies, boots on ground help, people, resources. It's incredible to hear you rattle off some of these stories that are going on in the back end of this. I'm curious, with so many moving pieces, how do you decide what to pursue next, right? Because you have 5 global causes, and then each of those global causes have many sort of buckets underneath it. I mean, hunger or vision or environment. You said you could be pointed in so many different directions. Is this a global matter where someone at the top says, for the next 3 months, we're going to be focused on vision? Is it on a specific region basis? Each chapter gets to come up with their own cause. I mean, talk to me about how we get to come up with this, our approach to solving these challenges.
Well, that's a very good question, and there's a long answer to that. But when it comes to determining what the global causes will be, that is often decided, of course, by our board of trustees. Our board of directors have input there, but it's also surveying our lions, which is something that was done a few years ago before the pillars were chosen, to see what are the problems in the area. Of course, there's a million different problems and needs to be addressed, but of course you have to narrow them down. So every few years or so, there will be an evaluation of how the chosen pillars are going, and if they need to be reevaluated, if they need to be revamped, if there is a need to retire some and add others. But those we have now, we're expected to have for at least the next 5 to 10 years. But of course, you always have emerging needs. Some speak higher than others. So if necessary, we would reevaluate to see which can be included. And a lot of times, certain situations can fall under some of the current ones that we have. So it's never a matter of 3 months for this, 2 months for that. That would be definitely too short. But Lions also at the local level could have their own projects underway. So they don't all have to be under these pillars that we have identified for funding. A lot of times great projects are funded by Lions locally in absence of our foundation funding. But for those that are identified by the foundation, funding is provided through available grants per a particular criteria. So for example, every issue under disaster is not funded. We have specific items that we fund. So that kind of helps to narrow what originally sounds like a basket of items down to here's the specifics about what is funded.
Do you have anything that has you excited? Maybe excited is not the right word. That has your attention today within these 5 pillars that where, if we looked at the maybe 80-20 principle, where are most of your people, most of your time? Where is most of your resources going today? Any of these specific pillars? Is there a specific project top of mind? What's going on today? What has you excited?
Well, in terms of funding, I think we could easily look at the granting, and are more grants being divided here, or is funding here? I would say that the funding itself is not equal, but of course, it really depends on the type of grants our Lions apply for. So one year, disaster could be the top. but the next year it could be youth related projects. So it really, really depends. But we have our hands in just about everything. Vision is always big for us, being our initial core mission. Disaster is huge because disasters are consistent from year to year. We are looking to expand some of the other consideration, but I can't say that there's one that stands out above the others. Our Lions are very active in their application submission. So every year, right now, we're approving more than 1,000 grants a year. And over our 50 plus year history, we've approved about 17,000 grants. So wow. That kind of gives you the breadth of where we are to date, as well as for this current fiscal year. So yeah. it could flip flop back and forth.
Yeah, the scale and the impact
yes.
that you're operating at is unbelievable. It's an honor to be on this side and to play a small part in it. It's incredible. I want to close with kind of an odd question. Obviously, I want to give the folks that are tuning in a chance to get involved, and so I'll ask you that in a second and how they can find you and get involved. But before I get there, as I was preparing for this, I continued in my notes to write down the word Lions, right? I mean, that's your members are called Lions. We have everything was a play on Lions. And I think being called a lion, I think being a lion, I think it comes with I think people have a certain vibe with that, and aura, emotions. And I feel like that comes with something, right? Being labeled a lion. And I'm curious if, was that done with intention? And the real question I have is, what does being a lion mean?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, you would be absolutely right in terms of the word lion and the membership, what it evokes. So when it comes to our Lion members, they are extremely, extremely dedicated, some to a fault. Where there's a need, there's absolutely a lion dress that, whether it be big or small. There is the dedication to service, regardless of what is needed. There is the dedication to mankind and humanity, whether it's local or global. So Lions are our greatest resource by far, with the 1.4 million members, and they make things move. They make things happen. We have Lions in Kenya. We have Lions in Iowa. We have Lions in Slovenia, you name it, there are Lions there. So I think with Lions, they are a proud group. They are a dedicated group. Membership has its privileges, as the Lions say. But I think most of all, I would sum it up: where there's a need, there's a lion to address that need.
Yeah, that's by far one of the most sticking quotes for me. Where there is a need, there's a lion. I love that. Absolutely. And the idea of a pack, the community, the impact that you can have with more than one. I think there's so many cool little parallels that you've been able to draw, and the momentum that you've gained over the years talks to the mission. For someone that is tuned in, they've learned about these sort of global causes. They like what they've heard. They're looking for ways to get involved. Maybe boots on the ground, volunteer hours type get involved. Maybe it's just deploying capital and resources, money, whatever that is. What are the best ways to get involved with your organization, your mission, what you have going on?
Exactly. So I also have to mention that Lions Clubs International Foundation is in the midst of its most ambitious fundraising campaign. It's Campaign 100. That's why I wore my shirt here. And with that, we are looking to raise $300 million by June 2022 to support our ongoing activities. So this is a global campaign. And the unique thing about it is that our Lions are our donors as well as our grantees. So that service comes full circle. They're donating. They're able to get the funds granted back for their service activities. We worked with a number of partners. So we do have opportunities for people to join to volunteer with Lions, whether it's episodic or whether it's they want to become a member. There's an opportunity for all ages, of course. And if there are individuals who are interested in supporting our causes, they can always visit our website at www.lcif.org to learn more about our programs, our mission, our fundraising campaign, and most importantly, the impact that we have in serving vulnerable populations. So all the information is there for anyone who's interested.
Yeah, I said this earlier, but I'm very thankful for your time. We heard today the number of bucket projects, how spread thin you could be, and the fact that we've gotten 30 plus minutes with you. This has been a huge honor, and I'm glad to have played just a small role in what you have going on. I will make sure that I maintain a cadence. I love the mission. I love the momentum where you're headed. This is it's fantastic. I will make sure everything that we've discussed is linked in the show notes, including the website there for folks that want to be involved. For the listeners, thank you all for listening. If you've enjoyed this episode, please press subscribe on YouTube or your podcast app. That will show the algorithm that this is important conversation so more people can learn about the importance of serving your community, meeting humanitarian needs, and truly promoting peace and understanding across the globe.